Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, we are back. I missed you. I hope you missed me too.
I missed you.
We have made some progress on the engine. Cup falling out of the garbage, don't worry about that. So you can tell that this is not in the same place as it was as you saw it last. I did get the new push rods. I was able to check push rod clearance. Everything is good. I ended up like one rotation until the lifter got tight against the rocker and the push rod, which puts us right where we need to be. I put the valve covers on, I put the ignition coils on, and then we've been trying to kind of test fit the engine wiring harness, test fit everything, kind of everything in general, the fuel system, all of that. The intake is just sitting on here. It could be lifted off. We're going to be installing the water pump. We're going to be installing the accessory drive bracket, the serpentine belt, some other things along that way. I'm still waiting for some pieces to finish the fuel system. We've kind of got that dialed in too, but I kind of need to make the fuel lines that attach to the rails when the motor's in the car, because I'm not sure how long they need to be exactly. We got the throttle cable kind of routed. We are converting this car from drive-by-wire to drive-by-cable. So I'm gonna have to run this throttle cable all the way into the inside of the car, but you know, we got the throttle linkage working, we got everything hooked up. Hopefully it ends up fitting like I think it should. Yeah, take a look. It looks very nice. I'm so stoked. And this is my car. This is my 2001 BMW 330 Ci. I've owned this car for a few years now, and you can see under the hood is scary. We've got wiring everywhere. We've got hoses and things that are kind of halfway put together, half BMW, half bulk hose, half Chevy mess. And the idea today is to prep the car to accept the new engine. We are gonna be installing this water pump. This is the water pump off my old motor. This is a water pump off of a GTO or a CTSV. A certain year of Camaros had it as well. This works out perfect because it allows us to use the truck dampener and a truck serpentine belt and a Camaro water pump. So there's no weird parts that I have to find, nothing specialty. I painted it black and I put a low temp thermostat in it. That's all that's been done to this. I also cut the end off here. It was about this much longer before. I cut it off for radiator hose clearance. It's pretty tight in there. And we're gonna stick her on there, see if we can't get it sealed up. Okay, I'll hold this one. How many technicians does it take to put on a water pump?
Apparently only one, because I...
All of us, apparently. Colin, will you hand me the accessory drive bracket? Yes. So this drive bracket works out perfectly as well. This is made by ICT Billet. This bracket allows you to use a Chevy alternator and a BMW power steering pump and a stock Chevy belt. So as you put things together, it's super easy to source parts, no fancy belts, no fancy pumps. This pump works perfect with the rack that's in the car. So it's kind of just the perfect combination to keep it simple, keep it easy.
I will attempt
This
to
goes
hold
on this side. Yeah, you hold it.
it. You'll start it.
Yeah. This is the same accessory drive bracket I had on my other engine. I just took it off and polished it up, made it look a little bit cleaner and better. It does look nice though. So, standard truck serpentine belt is kind of the next thing going on here. You could even run AC with a swap like this if you wanted. We don't run AC in this car, but it is an option. It looks good with the accessories on there.
Shiny.
Yeah, it's very shiny. I'm gonna be tightening the bolts for the water pump and the accessory bracket. Probably should have done that before I put the belt on, but it'll be fine. And while I do that, because it is boring, I'm gonna kind of tell you about the car. I bought this car sort of as an unfinished project, and I mean, it was the perfect candidate for something like this because it was a 330 Ci coupe automatic, and it's the ZHP package, so it has bigger brakes, and honestly don't know all of what goes into it. But being an automatic means it was never really abused, it was never really clutch kicked or anything like that, so the subframe in the rear is still solid. There's no cracks. I did do the subframe reinforcement on this car to keep it from cracking in the future, but it just turned out to be like a perfect candidate for a swap, perfect candidate for a drift car, and it's been pretty solid for me. So we've got the accessory drive bracket on. Things are looking pretty good. I love the contrast of the silver accessories and the all black everything else. It looks super nice. So the motor's prepped basically as far as we can go until it's ready to go in there. There are a few things that still need to be fitted, like the fuel lines we talked about before, but I need it in the car before I can get all that stuff squared away. The only holdup as far as the engine goes, I need to have the exhaust manifolds refinished and ceramic coated. These are CX Racing LS swap headers for an E46 BMW. They've been through the ringer. These are the same ones that were on the car before. I'm gonna have them sandblasted and ceramic coated. That's in the works. Now we're gonna take a look at the car. There's a lot that needs to happen on the car before it's ready for the swap. It was done terribly before. I actually bought this with the V8 in there, and it had a stock truck wiring harness, a stock truck computer, and it was wired in, but it was scary to say the least. I mean, as we take a look at the engine bay, you can see the mess of wires that I need to hide and go through. Yeah, so that's where the computer was before, along with the fuse panel and the relays to run the fans. This is a lot of just BMW stock wiring that needs to be, it can't be like this. It needs to be gone through. Some other things that were a little janky. The power steering reservoir mounting is too high. It actually hits the hood right here, and it was causing dimples on the top of the carbon fiber hood and some cracking just because it was being pushed from the bottom. These heater hoses are half BMW, half bulk hose, just kind of made to fit and made to work. We're gonna try and make all that a lot better. A lot of these heat shields are barely usable. This one has been just in there. Since I bought the car, it's not doing anything. To the point that like, so much heat was generated, it was actually melting the plastic brackets that hold the brake lines in place. We're gonna try and alleviate all that. We wanna get this engine bay prepped and cleaned, get the hoses routed right, get the wiring routed right. The plan is to repaint the entire engine bay and just make it look perfect. So moving forward, we're gonna kind of focus here, try and get a lot of this mess cleaned up and squared away and ready for the swap, ready for the new engine. All right, we're gonna start stripping the engine bay down. There's a lot of things that need to come out before we can actually pressure wash, degrease, and paint. So we're gonna remove, we already removed a couple heat shields. There's some wiring and relays over here I'm gonna remove, and we're gonna get to work. Then we're gonna pressure wash it and get it all prettied up.
A few moments later.
All right, we got the engine bay prepped. Here's an example of some of the wiring that we removed that is just not used. So we went through the engine wiring harness, we peeled all the wiring out of the engine bay, we removed all the heat shields that were tore up because we're not gonna be using those anymore. Now I'm gonna get the engine bay degreased and pressure washed in preparation for paint. We're just using a spray degreaser, and we're gonna get to cleaning. So as you can see, we got it degreased and pressure washed. It already looks way better than it did before. I do still want to paint the engine bay simply because there was a lot of modifications done to make the swap happen the first time that weren't done very well. I want to weld up these holes. I also have some strut tower reinforcement plates. This is a common area to crack. They'll crack right around here with lots of abuse and lots of drive time. Just preemptively, I'm going to prep them, reinforce them, and paint that along with the mess. We're kind of wrapping things up for the night. It's just getting late. We'll kind of pick this video back up when we are prepping and painting, installing those strut tower mounts, welding up these holes, sanding the whole engine bay, and getting it painted.
The next day.
All right, guys, we're back. It's the next day. When we left off, we just got the engine bay stripped of all the wiring and hoses. We kind of went through and removed some brackets that aren't being used anymore. I also kind of buffed the paint around a couple of areas that need to be touched up. There were some holes in the body kind of here from some old mounting. I also got some strut reinforcement plates. These are gonna make the top of the tower a bit stronger. That's a common crack point on these. So I'm gonna weld those in before we paint it. That way everything just looks nice when it's done. We've got the welder out and we're gonna start filling some of these holes and weld in the strut tower braces. Wish me luck. All right, we got the welder set up. I did a couple test welds to make sure everything is set good. It looks like it's gonna work out, so I'm gonna start filling up some of these holes and get those strut tower plates welded in. Oh, fire. And a big hole. All right. All right, we got all the holes welded up, hopefully. Now we're gonna use a flap disc to kind of buff them flat. I'm definitely not a welder, but I think it turned out pretty good. If you're a professional, please flame me in the comments. Tell me what I should have done better. Overall, it looks decent though. Should be strong enough. And now we're gonna get to grinding. All right, we got most of the holes welded up. We grinded them flat. We're gonna go through and sand everything with 400 grit sandpaper so the paint will stick. Then we will degrease it and paint it. Hopefully it sands easily. As you can see, we got the engine bay all sanded up. We used 400 grit sandpaper. Now I'm gonna pressure wash it to try and remove all the residue. And then we're gonna degrease it and get ready for paint. After a couple hours of sanding and prepping and taping, we're ready to apply some primer. I've got just some satin black primer sealer. I'm gonna put that on all of the bare metal areas mostly. We'll see how much is in this can. I might be able to do the whole bay, and then we'll move on to paint. Same thing, we're gonna do a satin black engine bay. It will kind of complement our satin black and polished aluminum engine. All right, we got the engine bay painted up. We peeled all the tape, removed everything that was masked off. It looks pretty good. We're gonna leave the paint to dry for the weekend. We'll catch you in the next one.